I thought I did well. My goal was to share with people who I am, what I believe in, and what my values are that I got, at home and church and the military, and just be real. And so that was my goal, and I feel like I accomplished it.
There are many of the policy points, maybe before you get down to some of the finite details, that you guys are not that differing on, at least in terms of what we heard tonight. What are the dividing points?
Well, I think that tonight was a little different than what the points had been. I saw an article last week saying how we agreed on this, and this, and we get down to one of the most important issues tonight, which is health care. And so apparently we have a new version from my opponent, and that is we will need to kick the can further down the road. That's a big difference. I think we need to deal with it right now because Mississippians are hurting, Mississippians are dying, and our health care is ranked last in the nation. We must do something. There was a sad situation just Tuesday night, and it happens everywhere. There was a 73-year-old man with dementia in Philadelphia, Neshoba County, fell and broke his hip. They were trying to get him to Jackson, and they could not get a single room at any of the hospitals, and so he went to Meridian. Now, not that there's anything wrong with the health care in Meridian, but the fact is when you've got someone that's on Medicare with Part B and you can't get them into a hospital in the biggest city in the state, we've got health care problems that need to be done now, not later. And then on PERS, I've been an absolute protector of PERS. I've introduced bills every year. My opponent seemed to be happy that all of my bills were killed by his friends in the legislature every year. But the fact is, those people made a commitment to us. We made a commitment to them. I'm here to protect that 13th check. I'm here to protect their current system. And I'm also here to make sure that they don't privatize it. So that is a key difference. And then on public education, I want to deal with all of public education, and I have been in it in every day of my education career, and I have even been a volunteer substitute teacher. I do put my money where my mouth is. I donate my legislative salary back to my local school districts. That's a big difference. Life experiences. Anybody can say sound bites, but show me by your actions, where do you come from? What policies and values do you have about education, healthcare, roads and bridges, and all 82 counties, not just a few?
On education, you said you want higher salaries, not only for teachers, but folks working in the school districts as well. But you also talked about we need a new Secretary of Education in the state. What would you have that person do? What would the change be in that regard?
Well, that person would answer to educators instead of to testing companies. I think we are absolutely obsessed with testing and standardized testing in a $110 million contract. We need one that's going to listen and be willing to change and adapt to best practices. But what we heard for the last 3 years is we can't get rid of the state exams that are tied to graduation. We can't get rid of the history exam. Well, lo and behold, it's an election year and a big deal, and all of a sudden, poof, the U.S. history exam is gone. Then I believe that we need to switch to ACT and work keys. And the evidence proves it, and other states are doing it. But we have a state superintendent of education who has become politicized, who fights every opportunity to let teachers teach and get rid of the standardized testing.
Do you find it difficult to work as a Democrat in the House, and do you anticipate that same issue if you're elected as Lieutenant Governor in the Senate?
No, I don't find it difficult at all because, as we just noticed, my views are very moderate. It's about education, healthcare, and working men and women. And, I work with people. I don't work with a party. I don't check with anybody to see what it is. I know that if somebody's in DeSoto County, they have a concern that might relate to the urban center or their education. I know that on the coast, they're worried about the water. They're worried about the tideland funds. They're worried about making a living. But the reality is there's so much more that unites us than divides us. And I have great friends on both sides of the aisle and enjoy having a meal and drinks with them on a regular basis.
Was that part of what you were pleased with tonight, was that there wasn't a lot of talk, there wasn't any talk about party lines, but rather positions on the policy points?
Well, I made every effort to do that, and that's what I do every day. Very seldom will you ever hear me use the word Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, because there's not one of those ways to fix the problems in Mississippi. What we have are real issues, real people, and I want to deal with real policies instead of trying to get headlines the next day.
There are obviously on and on for years the conversations about Mississippi being at the bottom of the 50 states in this country. Mm-hmm. What will it really take to modernize the state in many ways? We've obviously talked about infrastructure and education, but what is it really going to take from a legislature, from a lieutenant governor to make those changes happen?
It's going to be kicking the good old boy system out of the Capitol. It's really what it is. We've got to get back to being we haven't been there. We need to be transparent. We need to be passing legislation that tells everyone they're welcome instead of a sign at the, at the state line that says, "Welcome to Mississippi," kinda. We have to educate everybody. We have to do this in all 82 counties. And right now, we've had a leadership for the last 20 years that focuses only on 4 or 5 key counties that can put them back in office. That's how we change it. We address real issues of real people.